Hey everyone, it's Nicola here from Code Rangers. I wanted to show you today how to make a very simple app using Thunkable. It's a tool that lets you make iOS or Android apps in the classroom using drag and drop programming languages. I'm looking at an Android app today, and what we'll make is a tool to let us translate spoken English into Spanish. I think I can do it in about 5 minutes. Bear with me, let's see just how simple it is. Once you've logged into Thunkable using your Gmail account, you can choose to make a new project and you'll end up on a screen that looks like this. On the left, you can see a menu called the palette, and inside there are a number of drawers that have all the features you might want to use in your app. And we can click on certain menus, open them up and explore just how many features there are. For today's app, we'll be up in the user interface section and we'll also be having a look at media. In the center of the screen is a picture of a phone, and what you want to note here, it's not actually going to run the code on this picture. This is just a design template for you to look at how the app will look. A list of the components you have in your app is in this menu on the right, and finally the properties for each component are on the far right side. Today's app is very simple. What we're going to want is one button and two labels. So we head to user interface and simply drag out a button, a label, and a second label. Now, to make the coding easy, I think it's always good to name the components. So I'll start with button 1. When I come here, I can choose how it looks. I'm going to give it some text on screen that says click to translate. Since we're here, we can make our color a different color, maybe a nice dark blue. We might make the font pretty big because there's not much going on in our app otherwise. And you'll see it resized automatically. We'll make it bold. Here we go. And to rename the item itself, we can click here and say rename. So I'll call it, excuse the bad typing, button translate. Let's do the same with each of our labels. So the first label will show the result of what the microphone has listened to us say. So why don't we say here, what we heard, and again we'll rename it back up here as label heard. And on label 2, we'll do something similar. So we'll say for our text on screen in Spanish, this is. And we'll also rename it to label translated. Now, when you make an app with Thunkable, some elements of the app are visible on screen and some are not. So what we're going to do is have a look in our media section. We want 3 things for our app to work nicely. We want a speech recognizer, which will listen to what we say. And when you drop it, there's nothing to see on screen, but you'll see the recognizers popped up here. We also want text to speech. This will help us at the end when we want our translated text spoken back to us. And finally, the translate tool. Okay, that's our app designed. Let's go and code it. We click on blocks and we find ourselves in a screen, with a series of coding block options. For those who are used to Scratch, you can see it's a similar idea. We can click inside the options and open a drawer with color-coded blocks. What's a little bit different is that for each of the components that we've added, there are some specific coding blocks that you'll see under here. So what we want to do is say when we click the button, start listening for my speech. So we'll come to the button menu. When the button is clicked, do call our speech recognizer. What that's going to do is start listening to what we say. The next thing we'll do is say, once we've finished listening and we've got a result, so when the speech recognizer, after getting text, it's a little bit clunky, but we get the idea, let's pop what it heard into the label heard. So we come to label heard and say, set label heard text to, hover over result, and get the result. So that's step 1 and 2. We've listened to some speech and we've put that speech into our text box. The next thing we'd like to do is translate that text to another language. So we come to our translate and we call our next function. Call Yandex Translate. The language to translate to, you can do research on this. There are some standard language codes. I'm using Spanish today, which is ES. You could also look at French, Italian, and a variety of other languages. And obviously what we want to translate is the result that we have from our speech before. So we've now called another function which is going to translate into Spanish. Sorry about that. And finally, we want to say, when you've got that result, let's do 2 things. Let's put that translated text into our label on screen. And the last thing we'd like to do is have that spoken to us. So we use another function called text-to-speech. And again, let's pick the translation. Okay, that's all the code we're going to use for this app. 3 events are happening. We're clicking a button, we are listening for some text, and we are handling a translation. I'm going to pause now and jump across onto my phone. What you'll need to do is install an app on your phone called Thunkable Live, and that lets you demo the app and see what's happening with it. I'll see you on my phone shortly. Hi everyone, so we're back to have a look at how the app looks in real life. It's a pretty simple process. We click test, I'm going to reset the connection, and I'm going to say let's use Thunkable Live. This generates a QR code, and on my phone with the Thunkable Live app open, I can come and scan. So you can see in a moment or two the app's going to open on my phone, and it's just the way it looks on screen, which is great. Let's test it out. Hello. Oh, look at that, it's working. Hola. It says hello, and after a second or two it translated to say hola. Let's try another one. What is your name?
Tu nombre.
What do you think of the Spanish accent, guys? I'm not sure it's a particularly nice form of spoken Spanish. I apologize for that. But my app is working. Let me try one more. What is your favorite color?
¿Cuál es tu color favorito?
Brilliant. Okay. One more thing I'll show you is that this is a live testing environment, so if there's something in the app that's not quite the way you want it, I think the background colour would be great, a nice shade of lime. We can update, actually that's not a good colour at all, is it? We can update and the changes are going to show up for us in real time, and that's going to be really helpful for students to see just what that app is doing. I hope that you found this helpful. Would really love to see any translation apps that you choose to make in the class with your students. Come and see us over on coderangers.com.au and let us know what you're getting up to in your classroom.